Welcome back to round one, where we played just the beginning of a game to give you a taste of what it's like. And today we're playing Ascension Tactics Inferno. This is a standalone expansion or a standalone game.
Yeah.
I mean, they call it a standalone expansion. It expands the universe of Ascension Tactics, but you don't need to have Ascension Tactics to play this.
Right. This is one of those classic cases, just like with the actual Ascension deck building game, where the new sets that come out, the more sets you have, the more you can kind of combine it all into one giant set. You can mix and match the cards. You can use these new champions with the old champions and play scenarios from Tactics with all these new cards. However, Inferno does bring a lot of new things to Tactics. But before I explain that or talk about what's new, this is kind of a weird pedigree here because, first of all, Ascension is a deck building game that came out many years ago and in fact is kind of the grandfather of a lot of what you think of when you think of deck building games these days, as far as like having a market row, building a deck that kind of escalates over time. And that game has come out with a ton of different sets. What they did with Tactics was actually expand upon that with a three-dimensional board and miniatures. So they took a lot of the characters and cards that people loved from all the years of Ascension and turned them into these champions, which are actually 3D miniatures that go on the board and allow us to kind of battle through control of scenarios. That released last year. We did some videos on it. We even did a live play on it. Now they're back with Inferno, which is just more content for that tactical game. It actually is kind of a sequel. If you played through the actual like storyline narrative campaign of Tactics, this picks up right where that one left off and introduces a new storyline, some new gameplay modes, and a bunch of new features.
One of which is a completely new faction, which is kind of groundbreaking for the whole Ascension line, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's no word if this new faction will ever appear outside of this particular product, but just the fact that we have this new faction is very exciting. They're called the Fallen. They're kind of a monstrous faction. In fact, a lot of their cards, their champions, and of course they have heroes and constructs mixed into the deck like all the other factions do. They all kind of have that monstrous vibe.
I mean,
they're pretty cool.
Based on the ones we have, I would agree with that. In fact, let's talk about the champions we have today. On my side, I'm going to start with the Fallen.
We each have two Fallen champions to make up our side.
One champion I have is the Corrosive Widow. This is a spider that has some pretty interesting abilities that comes with these web tokens. So I can put those web tokens out on the board, I think when I slay or when I defeat someone. And then I can come back to these locations when I'm the spider and I need to come back. Then, it might be my favorite thing of this game completely, is my other champion, which is the Demon PUG SWARM. And if you thought you heard that wrong, you didn't. It's a swarm of pugs, and they come out as one, and then when it slays something, it's able to get another where it's slayed. So it's kind of like multiplying itself. Then I can have up to a max of 3 of these things out on the board. I'm going to try to get the Demon PUG SWARM to the table as soon as possible.
What a cool concept and a cool mini.
And then rounding out my team, I have Sodranis, and this is another cool feature. Sodranis is one of the champions that can actually transform into, I think it's Sodranis Unleashed. I don't want to spoil it. Hopefully I can make that happen during the game.
A better version of the card.
But I'll tell you right now, it has a upgraded transformed miniature that comes along with it, and I did take a peek at the back of the card. It's incredibly powerful. And then, of course, a Cultist. And to round things out, I have Aura Paladin. It's another one that can actually transform, in fact.
Yeah, you have 2 transforming heroes, which is
I don't want to show you that. Well, I'm going to show him. This one is pretty sweet.
If you can get that transform out, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, it's not super easy to transform. This is another brand new mechanic they're introducing with this expansion. Some of your champions will have that. They're double-sided. They get better, and they have better miniatures. But you have to do something specific, and it says on all the cards
specific
what you need to do. Mine is Emma Ironheart. She wants me to play a bunch of constructs. If I get a bunch of constructs, at least 3, when I play my 3rd construct equipped to my champions, she turns into a giant mech. She basically calls in a giant mech and then pilots that mech, which is pretty epic. And then I have this Hurricane Shaman. He does not transform, but he does something which I find very interesting and very new. If he hits a specific criteria, which is to play a certain number of Lifebound or Fallen cards, I get to summon the Eye of the Storm, which is a giant, powerful mini that gets to come into my play area.
I'm hoping that doesn't happen,
I'm going to try to make it happen. And then, of course, I have my 2 fallen as well. I have the Ravenous Gorf, which is this little, it looks like a frog thing. I mean, it's crazy looking.
It is a crazy, demonic-looking giant frog.
And then the Dream Titan. The Dream Titan is big. He has reach, but he is expensive to command, and he is very slow. But he does 15 damage on his attacks, which is pretty epic.
I didn't even see that.
Yeah, but he only moves 2 spaces instead of 3. I don't want to get ahead of myself.
Yeah.
But these heroes, or these champions, are going to be the champions that we can actually command out onto the board. Plus, we'll each have the ability to summon cultists, and we're trying to bring them out onto the board, move them around the board, and complete a specific objective. And that objective is going to be based on the scenario you're playing. Now, in the past, David and I have played cooperative scenarios, and this new expansion is going to bring more of that, including, for the first time, 4-player cooperative scenarios.
Yeah.
Where you can have 4 players around the table playing all together. We're not doing that today.
No, sadly, we're not doing that. So... Sadly, today, I'm sure I'm going to be beaten by Ryan because he's much better at these sorts of games than I am. But yeah, out on the board, we have a few different things we can do to score those points. And one of the things I wanted to point out, if you're not familiar, these games aren't necessarily just go out and knock everybody out or kill the other guys. This one has a lot of ways to score points. And like Ascension, you're going to score up to, 30 points?
30 honor, it's called, yeah.
30 honor.
You have to earn win. 30 honor to win.
But you can score honor in a few different ways. On this board, there's these places right here. What are they called?
Yeah, honor shrines, and there are 4 of them on the map. And to control them, you just have to have the most presence adjacent to it at the end of your turn. So if you can knock the opponent off or defeat the opponent while remaining next to it, you still get to score those points on your turn. You don't have to hold it for any length of time. So you can start earning points from those shrines pretty easily.
Yeah, in our first play of this, to warm up, Ryan schooled me on that quite a bit.
You got to get out there and get them.
And then there are these points here, and there's 4 of those on the board.
Yeah, these are beacons that you can light. And while this principle has been seen in the other tactics game, we have these double-sided beacons to represent our colors. I'm yellow, represented by the yellow gateway. David is blue, represented by the blue gateway, which is a little bit of a switch.
It is a switch of player color, but I'll allow it.
As you move through these beacons, you can light them to your color, or you can change them from the opponent's color to yours. Now, in other games, they've done crazy things, but in this one, if you get all 4 beacons lit in your color at the same time, they kind of flare to life, and you get 10 honor, which is a third of the victory points you need to win.
Right.
You get 10 honor just from doing that, and then they stay lit the rest of the game.
Yeah, there's no switching them back
after that, but you get your 10 points, your 10 honor, and then...
That goal is kind of a dangling carrot for me. That's what I was focused on in our warm-up play. It didn't quite work out for me very well, but we'll see how it goes here. I'm going to change some things up, and then there's some treasure here that you can interact with and pull treasure tokens out of the treasure bag. The treasure tokens are going to allow you to have some things up your sleeve. Yeah. So when you go and attack someone, you might have more combat value or defensive value on the flip side of that.
Yeah, and you'll definitely see how combat works, because what we're going to do here is a little different than what we normally do on a round 1. We normally show the beginning few turns of a game, but if you've ever played Ascension or another deck builder, you know that they escalate.
It builds.
It really does build. It's a deck builder. We start with a deck of 10 cards. Now, what I love about a Tactics is that it plays just like Ascension. If you already know the rules to Ascension, there's not really a lot more to learn other than how to manipulate this board, because you're still looking at that buy power, you're still looking at that combat, which is now called command, instead of using it to fight monsters in the row. Although you might still fight some monsters in the row.
Yeah, there may be, but it's mostly using the command points to command your units, your champions out here. And you're going to bring them out onto the board. And then when you command a unit, you're going to attack or move and attack. And the movement point, you get 3 movement points. So you're basically moving around this map, trying to control some of those points, score some points, taking out some people if you don't want them scoring the points, and then hopefully getting to 30, 30 before the opponent.
Of course, just like Ascension, again, we have that row of 6 cards. You're buying these cards, putting them in your discard pile, and then when you shuffle, you'll get these new cards into your rotation. So we're going to play through our starting deck, which is basically 2 turns. You have 10 cards. You draw 5, play them, draw 5 more, play them. That's going to kind of determine where you go. The cards that you buy early kind of dictate the direction your deck is going to take. And then it also kind of allows you to set up a few key things on the board. And then we'll jump ahead a little bit to where the real action is, so you can see kind of what it's like when we start going head to head.
Yeah, so who's going to go first, Ryan?
Well, blue always goes first. And we randomly assigned you blue, so you get to go first.
Oh, I like it. I like it a lot. I'm going to start by playing my 4 apprentice cards for 4 buy power, and I'm going to get this Shadow Elemental here.
Yep.
Now, it does have an ambush ability, which isn't really going to do anything for me right now. Ambush abilities are going to fire off the moment you take them. This one would do 3 damage to enemy champions on or adjacent to a hero
It's an
shrine.
empty board, David.
It is an empty board, but I want this Void card because Sidranus here, he's going to transform if I have 2 Void cards or more in my discard pile. So we'll see if I can make that happen.
Yeah.
So I'm going to buy that one, and it immediately refills. Sadly, it's not another Void card. And then I just have a Militia for 1 command power. And then, of course, on our gateway, we always have 2 command power to tap to get that. So I have 3 command power, which is enough to bring Sidranus on the board. So I'm going to spend that 3 and go movement of 3. I think I'll head up this way. 1, 2, 3.
Oh, you're getting ready to light one of those beacons.
Maybe. Who knows? We'll see. And that's my turn done. So I'm going to discard these cards and draw 5 new ones.
Normally, you'd also check at the end of every one of your turns if you fulfilled any of the victory point conditions or the honor point conditions, which in this case would be controlling one of these shrines, which I don't think any of us is going to get the chance to do that on the very first turn, but we'll see what happens. So my turn is a little different. I drew all 5 of my apprentice cards.
Whoa.
So I have 5 to spend on buying things. Unfortunately, there's nothing in the rogue that quite costs 5. Now, we also have the heavy infantry and the mystics that we can purchase just like in basic Ascension. So when I say that this feels like Ascension, I'm not lying to you.
No,
it really does.
It really does. I've had more experience with just Ascension than I have Tactics. And it does just feel like that, plus you're using cards to do things out here and command heroes or champions.
I'm player 2, the Yellow Gateway. I get that same 2 command per turn. However, as the second player, on the first turn of the game, I get 2 additional. So that is my consolation for being second. So I actually have 4 command to use on this turn. So I'm going to use it. I'm going to use 2 to bring in this Hurricane Shaman. So he only costs 2 to command. You'll see that at the bottom of the card. And then he's going to get to move 3 spaces. Let's go 1, 2, 3. I think I want to start getting him
towards the center.
Towards the center, maybe.
I mean, this is a pretty good spot.
That's a pretty good spot. Oh, if you could get directly in the center and control both shrines at once, that's tough. This is a cool scenario. We should mention this scenario was designed specifically for Inferno.
Yeah.
So this particular layout, a lot of times when you're playing the game, you can like move these things around, but this is pre-printed with this particular scenario. So I'm going to also activate the Ravenous Gorf, and he's going to move 3 as well.
Ah, the Ravenous Gorf.
I'm going to move him here, which is 1, 2, 3 spaces away from the Yellow Shrine, in hopes that maybe I can move into that forest and get that treasure chest. Now,
and when you move into forest, that takes 2 movement points,
it does.
Right? Yeah.
Now, after I activated the Shaman, if I'd had played some Lifebound or Fallen cards, I could have gotten that Eye of the Storm. That's not going to happen, but I do need some. So I'm actually in a pretty good spot here.
Oh, you can spend
I can
all
get
5.
both of these.
That's
However,
pretty nice.
what I like about Ascension is that after you buy, you always get to look at what's next.
What's the ambush on that one?
Well, so again, I can't really use it, but if I would, if you had a construct, I could destroy it. If you had a construct in play.
Well, I'm glad you're taking it now.
You don't.
Next one is the Fire Tyrant.
Ooh, its ambush abilities gain a treasure.
Yeah, but you don't have 4
Maybe I should have bought that Root Shaper first.
Maybe.
Oh well, I'm going to get the Root Shaper now. And that's going to go, both of these cards and all of my apprentices are going to go into my discard pile. And of course, I'll draw my next hand of 5. We all will have 2 militia and 8 apprentices to play over the course of our first 2 turns. So getting all 5 at once isn't necessarily great. It means my next hand's not going to be as strong.
Yeah, and this is, like we said, it's a fast-paced game. We might come back and show a little bit more and then come back even again. We'll see how the game goes because this could be over before we know it. But not because I'm scoring lots of points, I don't think. I am going to go ahead and play this militia. Along with my 2 command points here, I have 3. So I'm gonna go ahead and command. Oof.
I know you want to light that beacon, don't you?
I want to light that beacon so badly, but I also want to get a point.
I understand.
Would you let me move him extra?
What, you want some free
probably
extra movement?
not. I do want some free extra movement. And there are things in the game that there's constructs that you can add that will give you maybe some extra movement.
And treasure might
and
give you some extra
and
movement.
things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to move him. I'm going to light the beacon. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3. So I passed through there.
Yep,
Let's
and
light
you'll
that
light
beacon
it blue.
in blue. If only that scored me points right now.
Well, if you can get all 4, it'll score you 10.
And then I will play these 4 apprentice cards and pick up some cards. I kind of like the Chamber Monks from our warm-up game.
Oh, just acquiring the top card of the deck. It could get you something.
It could get me a void
could
card.
Could get you a huge card, too.
I'm going to go ahead and take... Oh, you know what? No, I'm going to take the Nocturnal Seer, which gains a treasure immediately.
Right. You've got the bag of treasure over there, so you'll randomly draw one. Feel free to show the camera. I won't look if you don't want me to. But treasure tokens are hidden. They're generally going to give you some kind of boost to your character or your champion, be it stronger attack or stronger defense.
Hopefully it shows up on this camera.
Or more movement points and things like that. Once a treasure's accrued, it's basically just your side can use it. Any one of your champions can use that treasure. All right, that's it.
That's my turn. So the next card, I had another... I did have another point, and I didn't see this.
Well, you could still reveal that first card. It could be another one.
This one. It is not. But I do like that card, too. I'm going to go ahead and buy this.
The Dimension Driver.
Yeah, so it's going to go into my discard pile, too, as I shuffle it.
Ancient Compass. When you play this, draw a card. Oh, and it's in construct. And it gives +2. So Emma over here wants me to play constructs and have constructs equipped to my champions. That seems like an easy
simple
buy
construct.
for me. I've got only 3 buy power this turn, but I've got 4 command. That's perfect because each one of these guys, again, each one of these champions is 2 to command. So I will command the Ravenous Gorf. It's going to move 3. Now, I am in front of this difficult terrain, this forest. So it's going to take 2 of my movement just to get into the forest, but it's worth it. It's going to give me a treasure token.
Nice.
And I will hold on to that treasure token. And then I get 1 more movement. That's going to put me here. Now, the question is, with that Hurricane Shaman, I can get over to that to activate that shrine. Or I could activate that beacon. But I think I want the points. I'm going to make the opposite decision as you, David. I'm going to move 3 spaces here. 1, 2, 3. I am now adjacent to a shrine at the end of my turn. I'll get some points. So I do have 3 to buy with. However, I do want this Ancient Compass. That's going to go straight to my discard pile.
And
I have
what
2
comes
more
out,
to spend.
A water elemental comes out. You could buy it and then hope for another one.
Yeah, I don't know. You may command a champion with command cost 2 or less for free. That's kind of neat. If I played another Enlightened champion, that one gets +3 combat and +1 move. Or another Enlightened card. I don't have a ton of Enlightened cards. I don't plan on getting a ton. I don't know if I like that. I think I'm going to get that Scrap Bot Scrapper instead.
Scrap Bot Scrapper.
Yeah, because this says, when I play him, for that turn, your champions equipped with constructs have ranged. Emma wants me to equip constructs. I feel like I'm going to get some. So I think having that extra range might...
That's not bad.
Well, it's not bad at all.
And you're done?
I'm done. Into my turn, I'll check. And I do get 2 points, 2 honor right here. I'll just put them on my side of the board.
You get 2 for controlling a spot?
You get 2 for every shrine that you control. So I only control that 1. So that's just 2 points. So you kind of have an idea now of how the game works. We're going to take a little bit of time and actually kind of build up our decks, and we'll see how that goes.
And as promised, we are back in action.
Yeah.
We've played quite a few more rounds. Ryan has scored, how many points you have? 22?
5 to 22 points out of 30. I need 8 points to go right now.
So he's doing better than me on the points front. I only have, what do I have? I have 11 points. So you've doubled my points.
I also only have 1 shrine, or one beacon that I lit that I'm currently protecting.
He's sitting on it.
I'm sitting on it and trying to hope that I can keep you from activating it. I did manage to trigger my Hurricane Shaman to summon this Eye of the Storm on the table, but I have not yet managed to trigger Emma to get her to flip to her form, which you haven't either on Sidranus.
No, Sidranus is still Sidranus, but I do have the Manticore out on the board now. In fact, my last turn, I didn't get a lot accomplished other than getting a lot of things on the board. Right now, I have the Manticore Knight, I have Sidranus, I have 2 Cultists, and the Corrosive Widow here, not to mention...
You have almost your whole entire team on the field right now.
These harmless little pugs over here, these demon PUG SWARM.
Yeah, and that's cool. I mean, we didn't talk a lot about the Cultists, but that's kind of a staple of Ascension, having those Cultists that you could just sink your damage into. They still exist in this game, but they are miniatures, so they have more value than just being punching bags. You can actually use them to secure areas or control locations, or just to block your enemies.
So I think I'm gonna do.
I blocked this spot off. I parked myself on this spot, so not only do you have to move to the shaman, you have to try to fight the shaman who has 5. So
5 defense.
If you want to get that shrine,
okay, so I'm going to start with Nocturnal Seer and Water Elemental. These are both enlightened heroes, and they both have enlightened allegiance. So I'm going to start with Nocturnal Seer because it's draw a card. So I'm going to draw a card to see what I get into my hand. Okay, that might be helpful. And then enlightened allegiance is gain a treasure. So I will gain a treasure.
Yep.
Please be something worthwhile.
Something that you can use. To get past my shaman's defense. I mean, my shaman only has a natural defense of 5, but I have been sitting on some tokens, some treasure tokens over here. Just in case.
Okay, then I'm going to go to the Water Elemental. This says, you may command a champion with command cost 2 or less for free. The demon pugs are 2 or less. And in Enlightened Allegiance, that champion gets +3 attack and +1
attack.
move. So I'm going to take a chance here with the pugs and go 1-2 and attack the Hurricane Shaman.
All right, the shaman has...
I have 5 right now.
5? You have 5 attack right now?
Well, 5 plus the 3,
so 8. You know what? I don't have an armor token high enough to save it.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. Or you're choosing not to play it anyway, which would be crazy.
Oh, yeah, you're right. No, I do. I could totally do it. I'm
but
choosing,
you just don't want to?
I don't want to right now. I'm choosing to
Are you serious?
You'll never know.
Well, this is going to be...
I cannot save or choose not to save my Hurricane Shaman at this time.
So the Hurricane Shaman is off the board. Yes. And exhausted.
Exhausted and off the board.
And here's the cool thing, because I thought for a second I'd forgotten about the pug's ability.
Oh, I forgot about the pug's ability.
But the pugs, when they slay, they bring out deploy another pug on that space. So I'm able to flip the beacons. I have all 4 beacons now.
Oh man, I should have fought for those beacons.
10 points. I don't know that it's going to do it though, because this
What are you at?
Well, right now I'm at, I had 11. I'm at 21.
That's...
So you're at 22?
20, yeah.
That was big. 10 points is nothing to sneeze at.
Basically tied up the game with that.
I don't have much else to do.
Okay, good.
So I am next going to have my Shadow Elemental come out. This has 3 command, plus I have the 2 command here. You know what? 2 command. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3 for that. And then I am going to command Sidranus. And if I'm not mistaken, oh no, I only have 1 void card.
Oh man.
I thought I might have 2 void cards, because if I had 2 void cards in my discard, when you activate or command Sidranus, they transform into Sidranus Unleashed, which is not going to happen. Sorry. Maybe in the next round. But I'm going to command him and go 1, 2, 3.
Yep. That's going to get you 4 points right now.
So that is all I can do for that. And then I have 3 to spend. And I will get... Oh, that's interesting. I can't do it, but this ambush is ready one of your exhausted champions. So you can use them again. Oh. Yeah. Oh, that is so cool. But you know what? I'm going to go ahead and get it anyway, even though I don't have any points to spend on them.
Because at the end of your turn, all the cards you purchase will go to your discard pile.
And I have 2 voids in there now.
With your hand, yep. So now you have 2 voids in there. As long as you don't draw more than 5 cards.
5.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, well, hopefully I can activate them.
Let's see what happens here. Scissors of the Wind. All right, so I'm going to play Jewels of the Lost.
That's a cool-looking card.
It is a cool-looking card. I'm going to put this on my Eye of the Storm.
Oh, that's another construct?
It is another construct. This is my third construct.
What's that do for Emma?
Which is what I've been trying to do for the entire game. That lets me flip Emma. Finally, I can transform her into Mecha Ironheart. +1 move. When I slay, she draws a card. She's now an 8/10 base stat. And her giant mech comes onto the battlefield there.
Oh, man.
It's got maybe a little battle damage.
This is kind of a crazy situation right here.
Yeah, it is. And I think I have enough to activate her. I've got 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 activation.
You're just going to move, right? Not attack?
Yeah, and this one draws me a card. So that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 activation. I'm sorry. 7 activation. So I will do 3 with Mecha Ironheart. And every champion I have with a construct has range. So she also has range.
Not that she needs it.
So that's 12 coming to...
Who you gonna...
Let's do Sidranus for 12.
Oh, you have range?
I have range now, yeah.
You're going to take Sidranus off right before I am able to...
I'm going to try to.
Enhance them.
I'm going to try to.
Sidranus has 10. Ooh.
Yeah?
I have this.
Okay.
So I've got 14 now.
I've got +7.
What?
Yeah. I've been sitting on that one for a while.
Oh, see, that's what I was talking about. So it basically burnt this token. I mean, you burnt that too, of course. But, okay, I can't do anything.
Say bye to Sidranus.
I can't do anything about that. So Sidranus comes off the board, and they're exhausted, so I can't even bring them in
when Mecha Ironheart slays, I draw a card.
Ryan, that kills me.
Now, what kills me is that you took the one that let me get a guy back. That would have been so huge.
Well,
So I have 2, 4, 5, 6, 7 to buy with.
Man, you had a crazy hand.
Yeah, well, I had a lot of allegiances this time. So I will get this Akam the Genie. When you ambush with him, draw 3 cards. So I'm going to draw 1, 2, 3, and see what I can do. So just so I can sort this out, that was all of my buy power.
I thought you had 7.
Oh, you're right. I did have 7.
You have 1 left.
8, 9. So I have 3 left.
Yeah.
I'll just leave 3 apprentices out to remind myself that I still have 3. I don't think there's anything else here that ambushes, though, so it's not like it really
Well, nothing's going to happen for you right now.
And then I had 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 10 total activation, and I used 3 of it. So I have 7 left. I'll use 3 more for Eye of the Storm to go 1, 2, 3.
Oh.
And Eye of the Storm also has range. So I will attack your spider with a total of 10.
Are you going to win the game here?
No, I don't think I can.
My spider with 10?
Yeah. Because I don't really have much out.
Unfortunately, the spider is coming off the board.
So if I have used 3, 6, I have 2, 3, 4 left. So that 4, I guess I could finally summon the Dream Titan, but he's never going to even reach the combat at this point. So I'll summon the Ravenous Gorf and go 1, 2, 3. And a Cultist and go 1, 2, 3.
Oh, man.
So my position's looking
Look how
better.
much the board has changed. I mean, my Manticore's out here, but, like, you just took both of my guys off the center. I have these 2 measly Cultists. Is that it?
That is it. And that's 4 points I'm going to get at the end of that one.
What's that bring you to?
26.
26 to 21. Is that right? Yeah, 26 to 21.
So we'll see how this pans out, though. You still got quite a shot here.
We'll see.
With that Manicore out there, you've got quite a shot. I'm running low on tokens.
I'm not liking the look of my next hand, but we will play and finish off the game, and then we'll be right back to tell you about the whole experience and how things kind of settled out. Yeah. And we're right back because it lasted one more round.
One more round, which is, we thought that might be the case.
One more, yeah, we know. We were both close. I wasn't able to do much on my last, like I said, I didn't have a huge hand to get a lot done.
Yeah, that was the issue.
Ryan, actually, you didn't have much of a hand to get a lot done either, but you scored points.
Well, the thing is, I had parked my mecha right in the middle of those 2 shrines, right in the middle of the map. And that's 4 points if you can't contest one of them.
And he was at 26, and I couldn't get in there and do anything about it.
Yeah, I made sure the one closest to you, the one that was close to the mana core, had 2 people on it. So unless you could have moved the mana core in there and like fought me off, I was still going to get...
Or even just swarmed you with cultists, but I just didn't have the movement
to get past the trees and everything.
To get in there.
Yeah, it was tough.
But as you could see from what you saw, like many deck builders and like Ascension plays too, the first few rounds are pretty straightforward. Not a ton going on. Not as much later, because our last 2 turns that you saw were significantly bigger than our early ones. And that's how this game goes, generally speaking. You get a lot of things in your hand, and you're able to get a lot done. Ryan, you did a lot on that last turn. Well, it was on camera.
You kind of build, I mean, you just kind of try to build to those moments.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, we kind of looked at our hands and we were like, okay, this is a good moment to show on film.
Oh yeah, when we came back,
there were plenty of not good hands that just happened to be. We looked at like the hand and was like, oh, this is a hand that's probably going to be worth showing, because those moments in the Ascension game as well as in Tactics, not every hand is big, but when you can get every card, like when they start to come in the right order and you look at that hand and you're like, oh, this is going to be the good turn. And you get a couple of those. I mean, you can't have every turn being crazy, but every so often you get it as you start to get these new cards and they start to come into your deck, and especially if you can start calling some cards out to like tighten down your deck.
You need to do that because like late game you could drop your hand and you could just get a couple mystics that you bought and some of the other cards for buying power, and then you're not doing a whole lot. You're just commanding, maybe just using your 2 points. But on the flip side, if you've got a lot of command, like my last turn, what did I have, 7 command? Something like that. That's a lot of points to spend to get some things done on the map.
Well, I had a lot of command on that one turn that we showed on camera. I had a lot of command too. And then, of course, the next turn, because I just did have a great hand, the next hand had nothing.
Yeah, so he got the 30 points. I was at 23, so not a bad showing on my part. And best case scenario, I got all 3 of my demon pugs
No,
out.
you were in a good shape to be at 28 at the end of your next turn. If I had ended at 30, you would have been at 28. So,
like those demon pugs, their ability to spawn on the space where they slayed was huge for that beacon. That was like my biggest,
that was a big play.
Turn of the game.
Well, you didn't get to use the spider web really at all.
No, I didn't. The spider web, if it had gotten out there and slayed, which you took me off the board before I could, you could get this out there, and then when the spider deploys, you could deploy it. Now you have to take the web back off the board, but you can deploy it where that web is, so I could be right out there in the middle.
Yeah, you could have jumped right back into combat.
That could have been massive. But anyway, Ryan won 30-23. That was Ascension Tactics. If you have any questions at all about the game or how this whole thing went down, please make them in the comments below. And until next time, of course, make sure everyone has fun at the table, and we'll see you then.